Alright folks, we're back. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that series. We've got a PvP coming up next because Peely and Kirk have only just begun. In fact, they're just starting right now. So you won't be missing Scarlet, hopefully too much. But here's the great thing about it. We're going to be casting Bales and State. That's going to be a really fun PvP. And after that, we'll either go to Scarlet's match or Huck's match or whatever's available. But at that point, we might start getting kicked off of things. Because again, the DreamHack stream is going to be starting to take priority on a lot of stuff. And unfortunately, we are second fiddle, so to speak. So I'm excited to cast whatever we can get our hands on. And I know that this PvP, we've seen a lot of PvP recently look better than it has in the past. And it's like, I feel like I'm almost like a salesman at this point, trying to tell you guys, like, look, I know PvP has sucked for like 5 years of StarCraft, but believe me, Legacy of the Void has made it a lot more fun.
Oh my god. I actually love watching PvP, and like not only that, I love watching, because I actually watch a lot of State stream, and he has some really fun PvP games. And the coolest thing, I think one of the coolest things that I like about State, if you ever watch his stream, when he gets wrecked, when he gets like comes across something, he's like, what the hell is this? Like, I am getting absolutely destroyed. He is smiling and he is laughing and he's like, this is so cool. I cannot wait to do this. I cannot wait to learn from this. Like, it's so much actually fun to watch State stream because of that. And I've seen him learn a couple of very interesting things from PvPs in the past couple of weeks, and I'm interested to see how that's going to go. Bale's also a very, very solid Protoss player, and oh man, I'm just like giddy with excitement right now because I know that the winner of this also plays versus Hawk, so it's like guaranteed sick PvPs coming up. Oh. Not only that, but with Peely playing versus Kirk right now. Or did you say that Peely advanced versus Kirk?
No, they're playing right now. Like, they just finished their vetoes as all this stuff set up.
So yeah, Peely playing versus Kirk. The winner of that is going to play versus Scarlet in, I guess, the losers round 7. It's like the pre-losers semifinals, if you want to call it that, as there are only 4 players in that round. And of course, the winner of that will go on to play versus Masa. And I think actually at this point in the State versus Bale series, we're 1, 2, 3 series away from the qualifying match. That third series is the qualifying match, I should make clear. So, not a whole lot left.
So we got Logan joining us in chat. We got to give some love to Logan. He's one of our Twitch friends. And he's asking about the bot. And I'll reiterate this now because we haven't talked about it for a while. Last time my wireless card started malfunctioning, and when I went to restart the computer, it wouldn't turn back on. Now, I've actually not fiddled with it since, and maybe the problems have resolved itself. Unlikely, knowing technology. But we were casting late into the night, then we cast early this morning, and then we cast this. Like, we've been taking like 4-hour, 6-hour breaks here in between, but we were essentially on like a almost 24-hour casting marathon, so we haven't had I haven't had any time to go look into trying to get it fixed or Googling answers or anything like that. So hopefully, I'm hoping I'll have it fixed by tomorrow. But tomorrow's Corsair Cup does start in the morning, so I don't actually know. I'm very computer illiterate, for those who don't know. Like, I'm surprised I can even get XSplit to work. Like, it actually surprises me on a regular basis. The small miracles in life. But, okay, Lycan just resub for 19 months. All these big resubs today during the qualifiers. Good to see. Thank you so much, Lycan. And anyone else we've missed, because not only is my personal bot for DeepBot not working, Twitch Alerts has been a little bit on the fritz today, too. Even though I've got the thing open, it's not making any sounds, no matter how many times I've restarted it. Not to mention, we also have had a hell of a lot of trolly, weird, uncomfortable as fuck donations coming out of Flotch today, and some of the others who have contributed as well. Wow! Flotch donated $5 and made an Auschwitz joke. So again, this is why I cannot read these on stream. I cannot. Like, dude, are you just Googling bad jokes and replacing, like, Zest's name into them type thing? Like, I don't... Okay. Anyways, lobby's going up. We don't have to wait too much longer. State versus Bales. Let's start off on Dusk Towers.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. I think we have quite a few people joining us in this lobby. Apparently, Beastie Cutie is joining us in this lobby.
Nice. Beastie's casting with Morrow, so it's not Morrow and Nani, it's Beastie and Morrow.
Oh, okay. That actually, I did not know that. That is good to know. I'm like waiting for Take TV to be like, hey, invite us too, and be like, okay, well, let's get everybody in here. Let's put everybody else on hold.
But I was talking to Nate And I was like, dude, like, sick. You've got great viewership. We got viewership. Like, we're just talking about it. He's like, I got a host for Until the Biscuit, lol. Lucky boys.
Oh,
but
no, dude, that makes me so happy.
But this actually brings up a point that I wanted to bring up while we're waiting, where DreamHack and some other tournaments really they have rules about not having the same English casters in the same games, right? Obviously, it's not happening here. We're breaking all kinds of rules. Literally every English caster's in this game. But Nate brought up something where like a lot of his viewers, like not a lot, excuse me, this is wrong to say. Like, a small percentage of his viewers probably hates BaseTradeTV, and a small percentage of our viewers probably dislike Nathanius. So, by having both of us cast the same match, it just maximizes the overall amount of people that are in said game. So, I'm not criticizing DreamHack. They've done this for years. This is their prerogative. But just on a personal level, I've always thought it was better to have many people covering games if there's not that many games going on. Like, I understand, if there's 13 games going on and everyone's casting one, that's stupid. But as we get closer and closer down to it, I just bring this up because DreamHack will be taking over a lot of the games, and they will be covering a lot of the casts. And at some point, both Nathanius, us, Maro, Beastie, and everyone else will probably get bumped off. But I've had a hell of a time. It's been really fun qualifiers. For double elimination, it's been going surprisingly quick. Considering we had an hour delay to the start of this, it's only actually been about 5 hours.
Yeah, it has been going pretty quickly, but dude, we're finally getting started. Dust Towers, game number 1. We'll see you guys in a bit.
Alright folks, we got a PvP and it's kicking off here on BaseTradeTV. You're watching the DreamHack Austin North American qualifiers. And as much shit as I've given Fear Dragon over the last couple days about him talking through me trying to play intros, that was a 6 send-off, man. And you get like a 10 out of 10 from me with 2 thumbs up. But we get into game, and in the bottom left side, play for Flipside Tactics, it's gonna be Scorpling's husband. Fails.
And up at the top right, the American living in Korea from Team On Fire. Give it up for State, who's out of the States. I've wanted to make that for so long. I've never made that joke.
Ooh. State, you know, State is actually, okay, I want to put this out there, not because I want this to excuse my following comment. I love State, I think he's a great player, but State is one of the most frustrating guys to have to work around as a tournament organizer. Because is he in Korean? Do you consider part of Korean qualifiers, North American qualifiers, server versus nationality, this, that, and the other? But I will say this, for as long as he's been in Korea, we really didn't see a lot of results from him. And he still doesn't have any huge tournament results under his belt. He won the safety net with BaseTradeTV, and that was kind of cool. But I just want to point out, it has been notable with Legacy, and this is the kid, with Semper and many others, and State especially. They've looked better than ever in Legacy of the Void. And I'm really glad that finally it feels like State, maybe it's not Korea paying off for him, but at least StarCraft 2 is, because he's looking so much better now today than he has in the past.
You know, it's so funny because you always talk about like, oh, Protoss are really struggling. I think that is very true. A lot of Protoss players are struggling, and even you talk about like State or Bales and everything, they're also struggling as well. But still, I just keep seeing like the top players that I'm like, who are the players that I think are some of the best in North America? And it just feels like this long list of Protoss players. Like you talk about State, Bales, Pili Pili, Neve, you talk about Huck, talk about, I'm trying to think, oh man, I'm forgetting someone important who qualified yesterday. DreamHack Spring. But regardless,
Puck and Neve. There's only 2 people who qualified.
Oh yeah, Puck. Yeah, Puck. I said Puck. I was like, oh man, but it's just like such a ridiculously awesome list, and that makes me excited as a Protoss player. But we do have a suspicious-looking pylon from State. Does get canceled. I guess it's just kind of like the better be prepared.
I think there was a bit of like, we'll call it mind games for now, like with an asterisk.
Yeah, the Mushcore across the map.
Okay, maybe I actually want to pylon overcharge. If that's the case, I find this a little bit surprising, but there's a Stargate following this up, and that looks a little bit more what you would expect to see in a PvP, and especially out of State.
Yeah, and I love what Bales is doing. He keeps sending out this Adept to get scouting information to see if the Mothership Core is coming. He sees the Mothership Core. He's going to focus fire down the pylon. The pylon doesn't quite go down, just barely.
Oh, wow. The Adept transferred away because I guess he thought it would just get the kill. This, well, this will not guarantee warp-ins. It leaves the potential for warp-ins suddenly here.
But also at the same time, I mean, the Adept, if it moves across the map and it moves past these gateways, or at least he tries to, he's thinking probably that, oh, well, the Motion Core's not there. I can probably get some damage done. But there's a full wall off over here for State.
Overcharge gets popped, and he's actually going to kill the Mothership Core, and the Pylon still lives!
Oh, that is brutal. That is just a mental...
It's hard to really say that this is devastating. Like, the game's not over from this Pylon living, but that was so much dedication to kill this damn thing. And it could have happened if the Adept just stayed for like a second, like 1 second longer.
The Pylon mind games have done so much. Like, I was ready to knock them, but I'm not feeling so confident about that anymore.
Well, you know what? If this Pylon didn't die in order for this one to die, it'd be worth it.
Yeah, I think the Pylon should survive over here as the Stalkers do come back. Bale's going to end up losing this Adept eventually since he's not sending out that Shade to try and save it. And State is going to want to knock down that Pylon eventually anyways, but he is going for the Stargate play behind this. This is going to go completely unscouted, and this could catch Bale's off guard because he's sending his first Phoenix to scout. The cardinal rule of going for Phoenix is do not scout with your first Phoenix, because this can happen. He's just going to lose it.
So he falls away right away, that's fine. But I actually don't blame him for having done this, because for what this looked like in an opener, Bales may have thought State was going for something a lot more all-in and not Phoenix behind it, frankly.
It's
now,
true.
If there's one thing, I talked about PvP changing and Legacy of the Void, and it's more fun, etc., etc. But if there's one thing that hasn't changed, Phoenix Wars still remains very stupid to watch, as it's so hard to actually get a lead. But there's two main factors to consider here. One is about stacking the Phoenix in the position you're going to be in. Maybe we'll see Onion Pulse Crystals, maybe we won't. I really don't care, because it really ends up being that big of an influencer. But the second is, and I give a shout out to, like, I've seen both Roddy and In Control do this, but despite the fact that they're not the Zests of the world, and they're not the top Protoss players, they've been the ones I've seen best handle Phoenix Wars back in HOTS, so I always love and look hopeful to seeing them do it again someday. But hallucinations actually go a long way when it comes to Phoenix fights. Like a silly amount of long way, because each shot fired is so important.
It definitely is, but I will say another thing, like it's sort of a misunderstood art in terms of Phoenix versus Phoenix Wars.
Yeah.
Another really big thing is actually you don't necessarily just always want to attack the same.
State going for double Twilight's a bit of a mistake.
Oh, unless he wants to make a charge blink or like Adept upgrade plus blink at the same time.
No, this is actually kind of huge because this Twilight Council is a significant amount of gas to sink into a building.
Oh, okay. Dark Shrine does go down. I was gonna say State tried to queue up the Dark Shrine, but I think it was in a place he couldn't put it because there's no way to get back behind his mineral line. Does plant it down, and you know, this can actually be pretty effective. This is one of those things that sometimes Protoss players forget. Is like, oh, you're so caught up with the Phoenix versus Phoenix Wars. You're like, wait a second, Phoenixes don't provide detection. I don't have an Oracle, and there's suddenly DTs killing all of my minerals. But Bales is a solid Protoss player, gonna get on top of it.
Outside of the cheese factor, too, there's another element to remember, that's Archons can't be Graviton beamed. They're like the one thing that can't. Yes. So it's not bad either way. Whether it's DTs for cheese, whether it's DTs for Archons, either way going to be beneficial. I do think, though, it's important to note that Phoenix production was cut out of State, though. Bales hasn't recognized this as he continues to invest into his own. And these Phoenix are going to become kind of worthless as time goes on.
So they
not right now, though. Ooh.
Okay, well, I'm actually surprised that State is trying to feign that he still has that Phoenix production, but I think Bales might be able to realize it soon, as he already has Anion Pulse Crystals, and I think the fact that Bales sees State has not invested in that yet, that he doesn't see more of those Phoenix, that should be enough of a reveal. He even sees all the gateways and, of course, going to see the Dark Shrine moving in here. And this is going to make it really hard. The problem with transitioning out of Phoenix is not just, oh yeah, you know, you're going to lose the Phoenix War. It's about what the Phoenixes do when they're in massive numbers and you already invested in making Phoenix and your transition is delayed.
He just saw the Dark Shrine, by the way. This is a very important element to the fact that he just started the Oracle. But here's the funny part about this. One Oracle does not make for good detection. This Observer is actually camping the Robo and has been for this whole time to see when an Observer finally gets made for his opponent. These Phoenix could snipe off the Observer. These Phoenix could pick off the Oracle. But the one really important aspect of this is, oh no, that Warp Prism is going to get caught if it goes in.
Yeah, the Phoenixes also go down, and this is a dangerous spot. This is actually, I think, a really, really bad spot for State right now. He tried to make the transition work, but I think it relied on Bales not noticing.
Okay, but this is actually really important because one of the things I was going to mention going into this is sometimes it's just simply the distraction at the back, and the main attack comes to the main, and the Warp Prism is going to go down with all the Dark Templar in it. Okay. Maybe not? Okay, but it was the distraction at the back while the attack comes in the front, and that Stasis Trap was intended to catch that attack that comes through the front. So Bales was actually getting prepared for that 1-2 punch element of this.
Yeah, Bales is playing this really, really well. And again, like, it's now, oh, you shut down the Warpers. It's like, wait a second, you can't really put pressure on me right now unless it's with your entire army. But he has a good army, and guess what? He's going to move back in. He's going to start to pick up probes, and this is, again, you don't really have a good answer to dealing with a decent number of Phoenix if you spent all of these minerals, all this investment into transitioning out from them. Well, now we have a point where 10 workers are killed. Bales has a pretty solid worker lead, and if he wants to, go for the 4th expansion, he's just going to take this advantage a little bit further and further and further on into the game. And these Phoenixes are going to make it so awkward for State to try and transition out. He's going to have to maybe think about building photon cannons.
I'm really liking Bales now. Like, with the Disruptors finally coming into play, Archons be damned, Blinkstalkers be damned, DTs be damned. Those Disruptors could win this game. Now, he's going to pounce on this right away. Of course, you don't need detection. You could actually just launch this on top of yourself, but the problem is he has to stand still to do so and loses that Disruptor. Stalker's also not going to be able to fight this. They don't have Blink. Not yet, at least.
Yeah. Oracle does get sniped off as it overcommits just a little bit, but Bales comes back in and sees the army's out of position. Does he have enough energy? Yeah, he can lift up a couple more probes, so moves in, and guess what? State has had enough. He's moving up. He's trying to get to the high ground, but I think this is maybe a bit of a mistake. I don't know if this is a misclick or if he just thought that the 4th expansion was already done.
So State apparently ends up using both Telecouncils, I guess, for Charge and Blink. They were both intentionally chronoed, so it was like an on-purpose thing. But
yeah,
hallucinations being added into the army is certainly cool. That Archon's going to fall off, though. The Stasis Trap.
Stasis Trap. That's pretty good. Catching an Archon is really, really nice.
Yep. More Archons being hallucinated, though. I really like the use of hallucinations, though. Even if all it does is bait out a Disruptor hit in the wrong direction temporarily, that's done its job. Now, it's hard to tell what's a hallucination. Even when you have detection, the blue on blue makes it look a little bit odd, but Disruptor trying to time out with that does get hits. Unfortunately, a large portion of the army does go down for it, and I just don't know. There's not really many games we've seen where there's been no Disruptors versus no Disruptors. I can't imagine State wins any fight that he doesn't have his own Disruptors for.
So this actually just becomes a traditional style PvP when there's not that many Disruptors. But since we do have Bales going for more and more of these Disruptors, I think that this is one of those things where State, his biggest thing that he's going to need to do is he has to either win before the Disruptor count gets too far out of control, or he has to be the first one to make the Stargate transition. The Stargate transition going into carriers is so ridiculously powerful in PvP.
That's true.
Like days.
Not even just carriers, but the Tempest most explicitly is they've got that range to deal with just about everything and anything.
Yeah, Tempests are going to be, of course, a very important transition point, but here we go. State going to try and make this work, but he loses a couple shots. He loses the Warp Prism, and suddenly he doesn't have any reinforcements, and he's trapped a little bit.
Meanwhile, back towards the natural base, Phoenix are going to be able to pick up things like Immortals and anything that really spews out like this one at a time. A little bit awkward. Probes getting picked off, Minerals getting harassed. Phoenixes can get feedback, and that does stop their damage, which is cool to see. So State on top of this, but if you're trying, there's just no taking this on. There's so many Blink Stalkers. I mean, this is the common eventuality every army comes down to. If not air, it's Blink Stalker and Disruptor, and there's just really no amount of micro that outplays this.
Oh, even gets down the Time Warp's gonna stop the retreater, make it very difficult for State to follow up. No, there's no way. State has lost way too much. GG gets called. Bales taking game number 1.
Well played out of Bales, too. That was I was really worried when he still continued with the Phoenix production if that would hurt him, but he recognized, he read the situation, and very, very convincing first game. Now,
so that's the thing, like, it's... Okay, go ahead, yeah.
Oh, I was just going to facepalm. Because Flotch almost actually donated a really great donation message. And it rhymes, and most of it's poetry. but then the last half takes a huge nosedive, and I can't. You've heard some of what he's written so far. Like I can't.
Yes, I have.
Core Hall Carnage knockout for the second game.
Yep.
Okay, Pure Dragon's gonna host that up.
Yeah, and third map will be Ruins of Endion if we end up going to that. Get Hills of State in here.
I still think they shouldn't have replaced Ruins of Ceres. I actually quite enjoyed that one. It could have been tweaked and fixed and made so much better, but
I just wish they didn't have similar names. Like a Ruins of Ceres and Ruins of Endion. I will continue to make that mistake.
Yeah, Ruins.
At the end of time.
Skylar vs. Peely starting. Damn it.
Oh, that is a fun matchup.
Neeb currently playing against Jon Snow in the winners bracket finals. Quickly reminding everybody that only 2 players can get through this. 1 from the winners bracket, 1 from the losers bracket. So those 2 very close to finalizing their spots, and the loser will still get another chance. But we are currently in the losers bracket with this series. I guess Neeb just won? Take TV saying grats? I don't actually know. I guess it's a stream delay, so you guys will actually see the results before we talk about them. It's kind of funny, but we're getting everyone here in the lobby for the Core Hall Carnage knockout. Big-ass map. Yikes.
Yeah. Game number 2. Bales looking really, really strong. And State, this is something I've been seeing him do on his stream a lot more, where he does stick around on like that Charizard Archon style for quite a bit of time, and I've seen it kind of come back to bite him in the butt a little bit. I kind of just want to see State get into, if he goes to that late game, like make those transitions either to Stargate play a little bit faster, or you got to make that damage happen a little bit earlier. I think even small things, like when he went for that push-in, and he went to the 4th expansion, he went to the high ground first. And I think that actually ended up costing him quite a bit of time. Like if he had been able to move in a little bit faster, maybe he could have made something happen before the next set of Disruptors came out. But regardless, we're moving in. Core Hall Carnage knockout, game number 2. We'll see you guys there.
Was no manager for this one, so nice try.
All right, no, we're just
load screen.
Take a break. So, anything is possible. This is a map that I definitely think about with obviously Stargates.
All right, well, we're going to get into game number 2, best of 3. This is still not quite qualifying rounds or anything like that, but it's damn close. Spawning in the upper left side of Coral Carnage Knockout, it's going to be the red Protoss from Flipside Tactics, Bales.
And his opponent in the bottom left, we have the blue Protoss player from Team On Fire. It's State.
Of course, spawn locations end up being horizontal right now. Just again reminding everybody that this is a little bit awkward to look at because this is an 8-player spawn map technically, but the way they have this segmented off, we've recently discovered the best way to explain it to everybody is consider each of these bases where you can spawn. So Bales could have spawned in the top vertically or up here across. So I mean, it's more likely that he would spawn here or here than over here, but again, with the way it's spawned out, in-game you get little pings, it shows you where the players are, so they'll know where to go, and that's why State gets that really nice first scout.
Yeah, and of course getting a nice first scout off is always really good in a PvP, because there are some weird things that you can do early on, and even getting an idea of like, okay, is my opponent opening up with a double gateway, are they opening up with single gateway, I'm going to be expecting adepts. Should I be looking for that extra pylon that's missing and worrying about a proxy Stargate? Like, all these things can come into play before the Adepts and the Mothership Core actually come out and chase that probe away. But speaking of which, we do have the double gateway opening coming out from Bales. Pretty standard, but State is the one that throws on the Nexus fairly early on. And I wonder if he's going to try and do it. Oh, this is actually so sick. Okay, so I believe Peely was telling me this, and I feel like I can comfortably finally say it now, because he said he was going to use it versus Polt in like some Challenger League match a while ago. But I believe if you Photon Overcharge a Pylon, and you add in the DPS from the Mothership Core, it will kill off a cooling tower. The Mothership Core plus the Pylon Photon Overcharge will kill it off. I
mean, they've only got, like, what is it, 500 health? Yeah.
Yeah, they go down pretty quickly. But that's not going to actually save State a whole lot, because there's the proxy Stargate that I was talking about. Ooh. Well,
I mean, the Stargate, it's unexpected. I guess that's one of the things for Bales. By having been scouted early, State is likely to predict everything coming northwards. There we go. This is going to knock down this rock, so we don't have to worry about ground. But you and I know it's not ground that he has to worry about.
Yeah. But I really do love the fact that it's just like that small little touch of like, hey, who thought about using Photon Overcharge to knock down rocks, right? And look, now Bales is locked out. This is a little bit unfortunate, but as you're saying, yeah, it's about the Oracle.
The most impressive part of that's the timing. I mean, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like just barely perfect. And this is also like the closest spawn position for that Adept, right? So this is like absolute best case.
Yeah, Mothership Core is actually going to...
Yeah.
This is actually going to be really deceptive. So the Mothership Core comes in, and this is kind of normal. And this might distract. And if this has the whatever few units that are in play looking at the natural, in fact, probes have to just straight up get pulled from this. That kind of sucks. The right side might be unattended. So Recall has to go off to keep this Mothership Core alive. Bales nails it. Now it comes to the main. Nothing over here. No Mothership Core, no overcharge. Probes going down, and probes getting pulled. And this gets really messy really quickly.
Yeah, already up to a decent number of worker kills, 9 in total, but, actually, getting a couple more. State pulling as workers a bit early over here. And yeah, it kind of is a relatively even worker supply right now, but the Oracle is still alive, and that adds so much for Bales. Of course, he has that Nexus finished up as well, so he's going to continue to mine from that, but I think that State wants to put on his own form of aggression. He's getting out the Warp Prism. He's getting up his warp gates, and he has a pylon set up, getting up a gateway as well. He's going to be able to do some good 4-gate aggression. And Bales, who's not knocked down the cooling tower, oh, he's going to check up at the high ground. This is so good. Bales has been playing on this map a good bit.
And it's important that he scouts this, of course. Even if he doesn't get a chance to knock this down in time, okay, let's get a cancel. It's important to know what angle that came from. Now, in a mirror matchup, to be up a couple of probe kills is nice. 12 in total was actually phenomenal, but he's only up a couple of actual probes at the end of the day, so it's still hard to say this really paid off, but these Oracles aren't dead yet, and they can still get damage done. And if nothing else, just constant revelations are huge.
Yeah, exactly. The fact that these Oracles can even do things like, hey, bait out a Photon Overcharge, keep State at home. If State is actually moving across the map with that Warp Prism that he has sentries loaded up into them. That is an interesting choice, especially on this map, where you have to force field twice to actually cut off from the natural to the main.
Well, I guess part of this too is he knows that they not only is he going for the attack with this, right, but he also is susceptible to the Oracles if these are on the ground. So at first I thought maybe this was to keep him safe, but he is actually moving out with it.
Bales may be caught, I guess, outside of his main base. The sentries are going to be able to safely unload, because I don't think that Bales is anticipating this at all. I am watching this and I'm having trouble anticipating it. But it's gonna happen.
He has no vision. He has no vision of this whatsoever. If he gets over quick enough, he can knock down the cooling tower. Won't even need to use force fields. I mean, this thing only has 500 health. We talked about this earlier. With only 500 health, it goes down very, very quick. I mean, maybe then State recalls to the main. I don't know if you're joking. Like, this is still unseen. We're looking at Bale's vision, and he has no idea about this at all.
But that's such a good point. He could just recall to the main. If he recalls to the main, then it's not like State can just easily pick up the sentries and leave. He's warping in stalkers over here. He's investing into this.
Yeah. I don't think his intention... Like, even if... But the problem is, right, you recall into the main, then you pick off the units while they're recalling. Like, this... it's not a great move, but it's a better move than nothing at all. Either way, we're going to see if this catches him off guard. Is he about to get shocked by this? The stalkers are going to knock down the cooling tower initially. This might hurt quite a bit. Oh, she's not thinking about the recall. She's not thinking about the recall. She's going for the overcharge wrapper on the backside.
That's 3 gateways. That's the Cybernetic Core. That's the Forge.
This is not going to be something he could easily repair. With the Cyber Core going down, we have an Immortal in the main, a slow warp in to boot. He picks up the Stalkers. He doesn't have Blink, but he's keeping them from getting focused down. There might be an overcharge on the backside. The Mothership Core is still wrapping around, but one overcharge is not going to save him. These probes are going to die. He didn't even try to break the rocks, by the way. He's just kind of giving up the main.
Oh, the Oracles try to get some damage done, and they kill off 4 workers, but they both end up falling to the Photon Overcharge. This is going completely on its head for Bales, and he's finally starting to knock down the rocks.
He's trying to get the pylon down to repower these gateways. This is his production. He's building more gateways on the other side of those rocks, but this is like... This is too far gone. Just sacrifice the main.
The sentries can still just force field the ramp as soon as those rocks go down.
Yeah, I think that's what he's thinking too. So moves on over to do this safely. Robo's got to be the next target. Recall goes off to save the Immortal and take it over to this base. So now State he's even up the bases. Let's not forget, State kind of all in to make this happen, but he's got such a huge amount of stalkers. There's no blink with this, but State, among likes of Mana and Puck and a few others, are the type to have that Warp Prism control to pick up and drop units as if they had blink.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is going to be one extra thing that Bales is going to have to worry about. Bales is also so reset in his tech. Like, his Cybernetics core just finished up because he lost it. He couldn't even build a revive slot. He couldn't start getting out additional immortals or anything else. And look at the State is actually going to have the time to elevator some of his units out. Well, actually, no,
he's just bringing the sentries because he wants to wrap around and apply to this base, but he did that base.
Oh, I'm a little bit surprised. I actually really would have liked to have seen him just slowly elevate his units out.
I would have liked to see it too, but he's not warping the sentries. I thought he was just going to do the same tactics over here and knock Bales down to one base, essentially. But Zealots have damage. Mothership Core's got nothing to overcharge. I think Bales' time is up. He thinks he's breaking this by killing the main, but in doing so loses 2 Nexus in a PvP.
That is game-ending. The Warp Prism warps in more units. And guess what? The cooling tower goes down. Actually, both of them trying to knock down the cooling tower. Bales is trying to stay in this game with the cooling tower, and State is just saying, well, actually, no. I'm going to knock Best through faster.
Counterattack has nothing stopping it, though. This Oracle gets some pretty good damage, but it's not enough to stop State, who still has a 56 army supply lead. Now, it's very important that Adepts and Zealots specifically are being warped in, because those Immortals are too scary to deal with. In fact, the Adepts might not even go with the army. Okay, they will go with the army. I was going to say, he could actually just end up taking those to the mineral line instead. Warp Prism gets focused, though, so that's all the reinforcements. Can State break Bales with what he has? It's double the army supply. It's a lot of Zealots. It's a lot of Adepts. The Immortals are already removed from the equation.
I think we're going to the ace match.
I think we are going to the ace match.
Oh, boy. GG. State. Tying it up. 1-1.
Congratulations. We'll see what the third map has in store. We're going to quickly sneak off to ads, though, before that, guys, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a moment. Thank you, by the way, to Yellow Stuff for the resub. 14 months. Big love. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Game number 3. If you're a BaseTradeTV sub and you haven't already thrown down a couple of ace matches in chat, I'm calling for them now, because we are, of course, in game number 3. Spawning in the bottom right side, we've got none other than Flipside Tactics, Red Protoss Bales.
And in the bottom left with the sick Warp Prism Tactics, we have On Fire State in blue.
Okay, now State just showed us some really cool things that game, but I really like Bales' sneak attack tactics. It's one thing to just do a proxy Oracle, and you're like, okay, cheesy Protoss, but the way he handled it I thought was really nice. The attempt to sort of distract at the same time was cool, but State ultimately won that game with really not just good decision making but great reactions.
Absolutely. That idea to like go into the main base of the Warp Prism to actually say like, oh, there's actually nothing here to scout me out. I don't need to, you know, rush this. I can actually warp in some units, knock down the tower, and really take advantage of this. Of course, State in this game going to be going for the Nexus first versus Bales, who's going to go for what looks to be that same 2-gate aggression. And I actually will say Nexus first is a thing in PvP. It can be done, but I'm a little bit more hesitant on seeing it in the series where Bales has consistently opened up with a 2-gate.
It's that sort of risk you take, though, a bit of a gamble. Like, if this goes up, you're ahead massively. I mean, we've seen this so many times in mirror matchups in general. If you get ahead in bases, you're going to win that game through just even decent levels of macro. But you're right, like, if Bales ends up punishing this, then State's going to regret it. It'll be the biggest mistake that he could throw here in the loser's bracket.
It actually makes me think about, you know, what has Bales been doing with his Adepts? And I think back in game number 1, he was actually very passive with it, remember? He was using it and leaving it at home. He was maybe trying to pick off the pylon and everything, but for the most part, he was just very, very cautious about moving out with it. Game number 2, he sent it straight across the map, so it's a little bit inconsistent. I think you're right. It is a bit of a gamble. What does Bales do? Does he immediately just gun it with those Adepts? And I think that's exactly what he's going to do. Well, 2 Stalkers going to be coming out. Stalkers are good in the sense that they can chase down those Adepts, but you do take a little bit of time to actually kill them off. So there's going to be an opportunity for Bales to get a couple of worker kills here.
Well, I don't know, actually. I think the instant recall... Well, I guess, yeah, the Adepts will get the other one, so... This... for State, he's got probes to lose. He's up by about 4 right now.
The Mothership Core. Oh, the Mothership Core very late on the recall, but does get it off just in time, so it knows the timing a little bit better than I do. And Bales, this is what I'm talking about. Stalkers, they will eventually kill Adepts, but Adepts survive long enough that they just kill enough workers during that time.
So this evens up the situation for the current probe count, but this doesn't actually even up the game just yet, as his own Nexus isn't done yet. So State can still get ahead in a couple of workers. And more importantly, Bales, he's looking to follow this up with more aggression. That Oracle wants to make sure that State's not just even on workers, but behind on workers.
Yeah, I'm actually really interested. State is doing something I don't usually see a Protoss player do, where he's continuing to chrono boost out additional gateway units. So State is looking to put on some really weirdly timed aggression. Oh, there we see it. The gateway, the proxy gateway going down. This is going into all-out gateway aggression from State. This is very, very going to be aggressive.
I mean, the context here, too, is everyone's life is on the line with this being the final match. It's the loser's bracket. Any mistakes can cost you everything. And that Oracle idling for even just a few seconds might be a bit much. The recall, or not recall, excuse me, foot on overcharge, even a little bit delayed there. He's going to pull these probes back to the main and trying to save 1 or 2 of them, if at all possible. 2 of them do live. All would have died if they stayed in the natural.
Oh man, Void Ray coming out right now for Bales. He only has 1 photon overcharge that's going to be available for a good bit of time, as it's now available.
Well, you know what, though? That Mothership Core is really low. She's going to have a hard time actually getting to the front lines to do anything.
Yeah, she's not going to be adding in any additional DPS besides that photon overcharge. And guess what? State, he was waiting for this. There's no photon overcharge available anymore. The warp gate is made. He can now do those close proxy warp-ins. The Void Ray is going to be out for Bales now, and the Immortal's coming out too, but Bales really needs to buy time. He needs to make sure he gets that Void Ray count or the Immortal count, or both, to spiral out of control. I don't know if he's going to have the opportunity to.
He dives in for the pylon kill. Probes getting pulled, kind of signify to let State know exactly what sort of situation Bales is in. Back at home, 7 more probes die, and State's falling further and further behind in that probe count. But he is getting a little bit ahead in the army supply. That Void Ray also popped its prismatic alignment, so it can't melt Stalkers the same way it normally does.
Yeah, Immortal also pops its shield, so gonna have a hard time doing that as well.
Oh, 2 Adepts sneak through to the main, though. Nothing here to really stop this. The same tactics getting applied to Bales that State had applied to him. He's just looking for worker kills.
Oh, this is actually doing a lot of damage over here. And Bales, he's trying to produce some pretty expensive units in the form of Immortals and Void Rays. Yeah, the Adepts finally get cleaned up. We're sitting at even worker counts for both players, but I really do think that if State can just get a pick off on one of these Immortals or the Void Ray, suddenly this game is going to be looking really good for him.
So I think what he's hoping to do is essentially use the force fields to pinch the Immortal in place and maybe kill it if at all possible. But Blink coming up leaves a possibility for these sentries to be used otherwise, and we'll see if...
Bales is moving back across the map too. He's going to get more worker kills with this Oracle.
Oh my gosh. I feel bad for State because he needs to saturate this base. There's no reason not to, but there's no pylon. Like, even if he was in range to overcharge in time, there's nothing there to overcharge.
State has to move all the way back home, and this is kind of one of those situations where it's like you were choppy, you were constantly trading out, like I do some damage, you do some damage, but State is the one that takes damage last, and now he's going to be sitting at a bit of a worker deficit, and he has much, much worse tech. In fact, I would say that it's more appropriate to claim that the tech doesn't really exist. He's getting Blink up, but, I mean, there's Immortals out, there's Void Rays out. This is so hard to come up against. Well, Bale's going to try and pick away at that pylon and the gateway that are knocking things down. But Bales also just says, well, I'm going to knock down those cooling tower or the rock towers. I'm content to just macro it up over here because I know I did a lot of damage to that Oracle.
Well,
he knows the exact worker lead, but
I think it's easy. It's really transparently easy to see that Bales did worker damage, right? We know for a fact that was the case. The Oracle kept dipping in, and he's killed 25 probes of State. State didn't kill much, but he did kill enough to get himself back into the game and make this potentially manageable. But does he know that? Like, it's really hard to actually gauge where you're at after seeing that fight, you know, turn around and have to turn tail and go home.
Absolutely, and it's a weird game, right? It's not something that you often have seen.
DTs, but there's going to be observers out, so these aren't going to work for State the way I think he wants them to.
Yeah, War Prism going to be making its way in, and it is possibly going to get spotted by the pylon of Bales immediately. So that will be a little bit frustrating. And Bales also hallucinates to Phoenix and sees the army knocking down the rocks, so he knows that where he's going to have to position his army.
He's going to see the Dark Shrine too. Disruptors coming up for Bales, though. This starts looking really reminiscent of game number 1, though, where you got the greatest micro in the world, you got the coolest sneak attack tactics, but if you don't have your own disruptors, competing with somebody else who does almost seems impossible.
It is really difficult to make work, but here we go. War Prism trying to make its way over. Pylon immediately scouts it out, and Bales is prepared. He's in his main base, ready to intercept it. Photon Overcharge goes down, and the Stalkers are not.
Oh, no.
Oh. Well,
the War Prism for State going down had all the DTs in it. He didn't even unload a single one.
Oh, that is a massive gas investment. That's 125 gas per DT.
Yeah, that's really gonna sting. Not sure he's attacking his opponent's rocks. A bit awkward there. Force fields on both sides of this are kind of important. The Guardian's Shield really essential, but as silly as this is, State is really coming here with inferior tech, right? There's no Immortals, there's no Disruptors, there's not even Archons. Nothing about State's army looks like it's good enough to fight. Not even the overall supply. No upgrades for him. I mean, Bales is about to have +1.
You know what? I'm actually seeing these sentries over here for State. I'm actually convinced that what he wants to do is load up these sentries in the War Prism. Oh, he's gonna War Prism. This feels like, I think he was hoping to get into a good position to actually blink up to the main base, but look at this. The army for Bales moves out very aggressively.
Oh, it's chasing the wrong way.
He's giving up the ground. He's giving up the ground. He could have actually prevented this.
The sentry's gonna be able to force field this off. It's worth noting Bales does not have his own blink. This is so cool if it works.
Again, the second time in the series, Disruptor Shot goes off and does kill off a decent chunk of the Stalkers, may even kill off a sentry or two. Oh, there's only 2 sentries left over.
He can warp in new ones if he needs to. In fact, he is going to get just Stalkers with that warp in. Probe's getting pulled into this. I guess it's always easy to forget the Disruptor will not be choked out. The attack can go through, but he's trying to catch this. He catches his opponent's Disruptor. This isn't too bad. It's the only Disruptor in play, really, but he's out of juice on the force fields. He can't lock this army out again.
Yeah, and you know, surprisingly enough, Bale still has a worker lead behind all of this.
Oh my gosh, State. This was such a cool tactic, and I applaud every aspect of it, but it was executed poorly. And that, you could tell with the control, too. He panicked right there when the Disruptors came into play. Now, actually, where is...
Bale's behind us has been actually using his Warp Prism with the Disruptor and getting a little bit more damage done. He moves in once again, speed Warp Prism, Disruptor unloads, and it's going to get a couple kills, 5 kills.
Killing the third's not bad, but that's, again, just kind of evening up the game at best. Observers were left at home. That's what I was looking at before to see if there were any in play, and there are, so he cleans up all the DTs. And State's desperate gambles, I don't know if you're trying to get, even killing this third just doesn't feel like that's enough damage.
I don't think so either. I think that State needs to make more happen, especially since he's continuing to take damage. And oh god, Blink's on cooldown now, and he's gonna barely avoid the Disruptor shot. But Arcus is still gonna be bleeding out, though.
There's upgrade leads for Bales. So in every 1-to-1 fight, in every even engagement, Blink Stalker versus Blink Stalker, Bales wins those fights. State's going to get some DTs in here, a little bit sneaky with this cannon, so this isn't actually destined to do too much. I mean, this game just feels like, I hate to be that guy, I feel like it's over, but Bales can make mistakes.
Yeah, Bales though, the blink has been used, and now the Disruptors could go off on top of these Stalkers. He's not firing around the shots. There it is, and unavoidable. Tries to recall. That's a really cute way to try and blink out, but it's not going to work.
No, and now State's down to 10 supply, and he's about to lose here in the loser's bracket. GG gets called, and Bales. Ladies and gentlemen, Bales will continue on for a chance to qualify for DreamHack Austin.
And I'm going to tell you, I know that his next opponent is probably watching that match, because his next opponent is going to be Huck. He's going to play yet another PvP. Oh, this is so fairly close bracket.
Looks like Neeb did win in the upper bracket, by the way, so congratulations to him. I don't think anyone's too surprised by that result. DreamHack's covering Peely versus Scarlet. I don't know if the rest of these are DreamHack only. I'm hoping that's not the case. We're going to find out. We're going to go to commercial break before then. We'll let you guys know when we return if that was our last cast or if we got more behind us. Either way, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.